to prove that.
Call Shane Arden.
Mr Speaker, thank you for that call. I don't know where to start after that speech. I'm suitably impressed, I think I should say, for a start. The member for Wellington Central, either has Jim Anderton's speech notes or he's been talking to the Honourable Damien O'Connor, or maybe he has had some advice from Clayton Cosgrove, but I have to say that was a remarkably good speech for the deputy leader of the new deputy leader of the Labor Party on this topic. So I congratulate him on it. Mr Speaker, the issues canvassed so far are absolutely right. I think Mr Robertson said that foot and mouth could cost New Zealand $10 billion. The last estimate I saw on that was that potentially it could cost $25 billion per year, not one off, per year. So that would devastate the New Zealand economy if it was to be, if it were to happen at its worst possible impact. So to be able to trace animals in the event of a biosecurity incursion, regardless of what the incursion may be, is an essential part of having integrity in the system around biosecurity. So this National Animal Identification and Tracing Bill, Mr Speaker, is the first step, I guess you can say, in moving forward into the 21st century technology in regard to doing that. The issues that were canvassed in the Select Committee and through the submission process, both in terms of the consultation paper that was put together first of all to form the bill, and then the process as the Select Committee went through its work, are the issues of retention rates in sheep in particular. And that's the reason why the government at this point has chosen not to have lambs or sheep included in the national identification regulations. And so that issue has to be resolved. I think technology in time will find an answer to that. In fact, some of the work that's gone on in the US in recent years around implants. Now, everyone sort of throws their hands up in the air when you use the term implant, but basically the same kind of technology that's being used in New Zealand for registration of dogs, but in a way that it can be inserted with integrity so that the device itself retains its reliability, but also doesn't become a problem in further processing of the carcass of an animal, is quite a challenge. And so that is something that's being worked on. I think it'll be overcome in time. And when it is overcome, then of course the problem with retention rates of tagging devices and sheep will be overcome, and the cost then will be reduced substantially. So I think that's probably where we need to start cranking up the research there. And I notice that the Animal Health Board themselves are likely to be the group, the instrument, if you like, the team of people that will drive a lot of that work, and potentially may be the owner and controller of the database, in conjunction, of course, in partnership with the government, because the integrity of that database is equally as important as anything else that goes with this whole, keeping of traceability, so that the integrity of the system is maintained. It's absolutely essential, Mr Speaker, if we are going to be a first world exporter of high quality protein products from particularly animal production, that we have a traceability that will stand up to the scrutiny of the international markets. And so when you look at what is driving growth in particularly high quality production areas, it is that traceability that the member for Wellington Central spoke of. He used the example of the Icebreaker brand, and that is a very good example, but there are many, many others. If you look at some of the products that come out of our dairy industry now going into nutraceuticals and pharmaceuticals, clearly the integrity or safety of that product is essential. Well, the same will apply with meat products and other animal products that are, produced on our New Zealand farms as we speak. So having a solid, robust database using the best technology and using the best measurement systems, that is, how do you scan or read high numbers of cattle or sheep, as the case may be, in a timely and cost-effective way is something that this system and this bill is enabling of. And so as we watch that develop, Mr. Speaker, I suspect we'll see quite a bit of development around the different types of measurement systems and measuring devices. There was a lot of debate at the time of the Select Committee hearings on this around the use of high frequency versus low frequency devices. The robustness of those devices was the thing at question, I guess, and the biggest challenge for the Select Committee was to make sure that the bill was able to adapt to whatever device the market and the farming users decide to use, and not to try and second guess what would be the best. It would appear to us that having the ability to be able to measure large numbers of animals in a simple way, and if you can just imagine for a moment, Mr. Speaker, I know you may have some experience with this yourself, being able to measure a whole flock of sheep or yard of cattle with a device that's able to scan that area within a reasonable proximity. What a wonderful piece of technology that would be, to be able to know how many you had in the yard for a start, know each individual animal by number, and to know what the ages and various groups and sector groups of those animals were. Think about then being able to feed that information into a drafting system like the ProTrack system designed by Livestock Improvement, which I know you have close family association with, Mr. Speaker. That would be a wonderful ability for farming, so that you could actually draft animals as you wished by entering the data into a computer in a centralised place. Just imagine how that would simplify the handling of large dairy herds or large flocks of sheep or cattle for that matter. So those things will develop. So as that happens, what you'll see is the commercial drivers for such a system will overtake the anxiety that some farmers have now about costs, because there will be a financial benefit to them for doing it. And so those were the big debating points that Federated Farmers raised in the early stages of the discussion. And what they could see was just yet another cost being imposed on the farming sector without any real justification for that cost. And so I think we've moved past that point now, Mr. Speaker, to where the advantages are overwhelming, and most farmers that have been watching this debate and watching the technology develop are now much more receptive to it than what they were perhaps 5 years ago. So the other major issue, of course, is when we are signing up to international trade agreements worldwide, Mr. Speaker, to be able to go into those negotiations with a high degree of certainty that what we are able to sign up to, or what we are about to sign up to, will be able to be delivered with traceability back to individual farms, individual animals, with the safety standards in place. You recently remember the melanine scare in China, which had the whole of the dairy industry shaking in its boots for a moment. We, of course, in New Zealand are able to say that this product comes from this production system. It is safe, it is reliable, and it will not suffer the same fate as that did. So, Mr. Speaker, it's with those type of issues in mind, it's my pleasure to support this bill through the third reading. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Damien O'Connor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and it is with great pleasure that I